Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. Who's happy this morning? I am a happy Knick fan this morning. The Knicks beat Boston in overtime, 120 to 117. Their second straight win against the Eastern Conference team that are ahead of them in the standings, right? This is something that we've been wondering about. Can this team beat or even compete with the teams that are ahead of them? A lot of us felt, and I say us because we are family, a lot of us thought with the upcoming schedule and how tough it was, the Knicks were heading right to the play-in. Maybe not even the play-in, maybe missing the play-in altogether. I want to know, for those who thought that, does this win and the win against Cleveland change your mind and make you think maybe, just maybe, this team can finish top six in the Eastern Conference? And if they finish 7-8, can actually win that game and play themselves into the playoffs. All right. I love these games. I love the competition because not only do you get an opportunity to see what your team is made of and how good they may or may not be, but you get an opportunity to watch individual players and see who shines, who with, where they not playing that well, the lights seem to be a bit too bright for them. And obviously you can't tell that in one game. But the Knicks have an upcoming stretch where we're going to play a lot of tough games. And over that time, it's going to help at least me form my opinion, at least early on, about some of the players that we have. Anyway, the Knicks had a double-digit lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game. And if you're like me, I kept writing in my notes, can the Knicks close? Can the Knicks close? And what happens? Boston goes on a 10-0 run, right? And if it wasn't for Sims' block, maybe they win the game in regulation, right? There was a few times in overtime where I thought we were dead in the water, where I was like, man, they competed, they played hard. There's no shame if they lose this game. But then Randle hits a big three. He hits the two free throws that put us ahead for good in this game. RJ Barrett hits a big three with, I think, about 28 seconds left. He hits some huge free throws. And then, of course, Brunson with the block that sealed the game. Maybe I forgot what player that was. If he gets that shot off with the luck the Knicks have had over the years, maybe they make that shot and win the game. So everybody played a part in it. It wasn't perfect. We're going to talk about that. One player who made a huge clutch play is the same player that made a boneheaded play. So we'll talk about that. Salute to everybody in the chat, those that's going to be watching later. Let me give a quick shout out before we get into the particulars. Jeff Clafter, appreciate you. Best game of the season for the second game in a row. Can't disagree. Jeff Clafton, Randle was the best player on the floor, arguably so, right? Him and Tatum. But yeah, definitely. Sean Kearns, if we could get this Randle every night, but I understand with the minute distribution from Tibbs, he gets burnt out. Listen, he only played 2 minutes in that second quarter. And I think, the Knicks played heavy minutes when they had to. I think the bench is playing better now. They're healthy. I think RJ was the only one who had 40 minutes, and that was in an overtime game. Shout out to Geraldine, Deron Wayne, Anthony Grant, Andrew Torres, Troy Van Tull. I appreciate you. JJ, appreciate you. I think I got Ashley Inc. 1. I'm not sure. We'll talk. Salute Queen. 3 first could be Detroit's protected, Washington protected, and Milwaukee 25th protected. I guess he's talking about the report that the Knicks offered 3 first-round picks for OG in December. Josh, appreciate you as always. Yes, it was a great win. I thought Cleveland was the best win of the season. This tops that, of course. Boston with the best record in the NBA, at least coming into the game. Kerry Cox, salute to you. Andrew K. All right. Ron, still Knick fans. It was Brogdon that he Brunson blocked the shot on. Thanks, JJ. King Cypress, appreciate you. Josh, we talked about this on Nothing But Knicks. We are one star away from going to the next level. The foundation and culture is being built. Do you think we can do it with this coach, Josh? Because there's a lot of fans who feel like, yeah, we do need a star, but we're going to need to replace the coach as well. Shout out to Staffer. Yeah, all right. Let's get into this real quick so we can talk about the game. The Knicks came into this game 26-23, seventh in the Eastern Conference, 6-4 over their last 10, had beaten Cleveland the game before. Boston 35-14, first in the Eastern Conference, first in the NBA, 8-2 over their last 10, but they had lost their last 2 games coming into this one. We started Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randle, Sims. Mitchell Robinson is still out. Marcus Smart was out for them. So they started Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams III. They was forced to play 2 bigs. Jaylen Brown missed the game before. I don't know if it was injury or rest, but he was back for this game. All right, let's get into the individual stats. And then, as always, I'll check in with the chat. Randle, 37 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 5-3 shot, 52% from the field. He was just in his bag last night. I thought he played within himself. I thought for the most part he took good shots. I think that, I don't know if we can say Randle is playing well this season. I think at some point we're going to have to just cross over and just say, listen, Randle is a very good player. He's a very talented player. He's a very skilled player. And that was always the case. I think with Randle, it was always between the ears, just staying locked in, right? For the length of a game, for the length of a season. And I think that's what we're seeing with Julius Randle. Remember, in the bubble season, he had a very good season. And a lot of, fans were saying, oh, that's because, nobody was in the stands. Maybe you're right. There weren't a lot of distractions, and he was able to just lock in and play his game. And we saw the type of player he was. Well, this season, from what I understand, he's been meditating, practicing mindfulness, and a few other things. And if you know anything about meditation and mindfulness, what it teaches you to do and what you practice is how to be calm despite the distractions. So not like the bubble season when there weren't any distractions. With mindfulness, what you do is you learn how to stay calm, stay focused despite the distractions, despite the noise. And I think that has a lot to do with why he's playing similarly to how he played in that bubble season, because he's found a way to find his peaceful place regardless of what's going on around him. And he's having an awesome all-star season, maybe even an all NBA season. He hit some clutch shots for the Knicks. I thought the Knicks were dead in the water in the third quarter. He had a big 3 for us. He hit the 2 free throws that put us ahead by good, in overtime. Now, when we were down 1 or 2, I'm not sure what it was, with like 24 seconds left, I wanted the Knicks to take the last shot. Like, run the clock down, take the last shot. I think Randle pulled up for a 3 early in the shot clock, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't particularly like that shot, but it didn't come back to hurt us. There was some critical turnovers, as well. I think a miscommunication with him and Grimes that led to a turnover, and then passing at the last second for a 24-second violation. But for all of our players, they're not perfect. Like I said in the intro, you're going to get some really good, nice, clutch, smart, efficient plays. And then there's times when you're going to get some boneheaded plays where you're like, what just happened there? But Randle did his thing last night, and he was there for all. I think he had 14 in the first, none in the second, but he only played 2 points in that second quarter. 2 minutes in that second quarter. And I think that had a lot to do with him being fresh, going down the stretch. You don't always have that luxury, though. But the team was playing well at the time, so Tibbs just let them rock. And I think Randle came in with like 2 minutes left. But for those of us who want to say, oh, we should always do it that way, you don't always have that luxury. especially against a good team like this. Next thing you know, you could be down 10, 12, 14 because your best players or one of your best players is on the bench for an extended period of time. But it worked out for us this time. Brunson, 29 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. I believe it was 2 blocks. Shot 48% from the field. I thought Brunson was back in the sense that he was much more aggressive trying to get to his, trying to get to his spots. And like I said earlier, he had the game sealing block against Brown. There was one play where he kind of dribbled out the clock. I mean, I know the ball was, deflected by Horford, but again, it's are they a net positive? And Brunson, obviously, every game is a net positive for us. Barrett, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, did not shoot well, but I think we're kind of used to that with Barrett. But this was, on another level, just 33.3% from the field. Barrett came up clutch for us, and I'll get into that, but I wasn't really happy with Barrett last night. I just wasn't. I just felt like, not only wasn't he shooting well, he wasn't defending well. Anytime he gets screened, it's always a switch. He doesn't know how to get skinny so that, maybe they just screen him a little bit. It's always a full-fledged screen where he's screened out of the play, has no chance of getting back into the play. And so now we have to switch. It happens all the time with RJ Barrett. And then, one play where he threw the ball out of bounds, another play where I guess the ball slipped out of his hand and he just threw it over the backboard. Like, it just was not his best game until overtime. That was a big 3 in overtime in the corner, in the right-hand corner, I believe it was. And listen, that tells us a lot about his confidence, how he doesn't get down on himself when he's not shooting well, doesn't get down on himself when he's not playing well, that he wanted that shot and they passed it to him, right? So even the fact that, he wasn't playing well, at least in my opinion, wasn't shooting well, they still found him the ball. They didn't look at him and be like, nah, I think we need to go in the other direction. They passed him the ball and he hit that 3. I think it was with 28 seconds left. Kudos to RJ Barrett for staying in the game. And then the 2 free throws, down the stretch to seal the game. And he said, I didn't have a good shooting night, but I was ready to take that shot. I feel like we're getting more comfortable in those situations. And I think it was either Brunson or Randle who said that as well. They're getting comfortable in crunch time late in the game. Quickly, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 58.3% from the field. I'm just loving Quickly right now. I'm loving the way he's playing. I'm loving his decision making. There was a time when he hit a few, key baskets for us. I have no complaints with Quickly, and he's playing both sides of the ball, right? Shot 58.3% from the field. All right. Let me just make some comments about some of the rest of the Knicks, a little bit about Boston, and then I'm going to get right to the chat. Grimes played 38 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds, did not have a good shooting night. 28.6% from the field overall, 16.7% from the three-point line. He was 1 for 6. Listen, and Grimes had to play Tatum. I mean, I think that's going to be a concern for us. We'll talk about that defensively, that we don't have good perimeter defenders. And so now, whoever the best wing player is, you have to put Grimes on him. And Grimes gives up a lot of inches. He started out on Tatum. Tatum 6'8". He looked 6'9" compared to Grimes, right? But Grimes, listen, somebody in the chat said that they thought we needed an upgrade at the shooting guard position, and I disagreed. But I think I'm starting to agree right now. And it's nothing against Grimes and his development. I think Grimes is where he should be for a second-year player and somebody who, I think over 2 years has just played 83, 84, 85 games, something like that. I think he's where he should be. But I think the Knicks need a more reliable starting shooting guard, right? In OT, I believe it was OT, 2 wide open shots that could have shifted the momentum for us. both of them were missed. And it's kind of hard to, I don't want it to seem like I'm dissatisfied with Grimes or I'm banging on him. People miss shots. They do. But I just feel like you you can't really count on a second year player to consistently come through. Like that's the nature of being a second year player, right? Think about Quickly's development. Think about RJ's development. You are going to be inconsistent. That's just part of it, right? So that part I understand. I just think it's up to the Knicks to find a reliable starting two guard and have Grimes come off the bench. I just don't think he's ready offensively. And I'm not talking about his skill set. Can he hit the three? Yes, he can. Can he put the ball on the floor and attack the closeouts? Yes, he can. Does he have playmaking ability? Yes, he can. Can he defend? Yes, he can. But it takes time to do that on a consistent level, right? He's our best option right now. But if the Knicks have an opportunity to upgrade that starting lineup with a reliable shooting guard who can hit their shots at a more consistent clip than Grimes, I think we got it. And they got to be able to play defense, right? I think we have to take it, especially if they have some size. That's just where I am on Grimes. But I hope you understand I'm not banging on him. He's right where he needs to be for his development. But just overall, as a roster, I do think we need to find a reliable start in shooting guard and move move Grimes to the bench. Sims played, 35 minutes, last night. I think this was a good matchup for him with Robert Williams III, who's not very tall. Didn't score 2 points, but he had 14 rebounds, 10 of them defensive. We were out rebounded by Boston, right? So without those 14 rebounds, it would have been even worse, right? So kudos to Sims for the 14 rebounds and the block in regulation. If that shot goes up, maybe it goes in. Who knows, right? We're not even talking about overtime. We're talking about losing in regulation. So kudos for him. iHeart, 17 points. I love what Tibbs is doing. Game by game, mix it up. There's some games you need iHeart more. Some games you need Grimes more. Just move it around depending on what's going on. 4.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. I do think we're getting a chance to see a little bit more of iHeart's passing ability. So I like what I saw from iHeart last night. McBride had some key moments for us. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, did have 2 turnovers in just 12 minutes. You have to get that together. Last night, the last game, I think, was also 2 or 3 in limited minutes. But listen, he is a very confident young man. Like McBride does not lack for confidence, right? He forced turnovers with his defense. He hit 2, I think it was 2 key free throws for us down the stretch. He got a steal for us in the fourth quarter, got his hands on another pass in the fourth quarter, and made those 2 free throws in the fourth quarter. A lot of times what you do doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Sometimes it does. Kudos to McBride. I thought he gave us some big minutes for us last night. Obi Toppin, 16 minutes, 5 points, 2 rebounds. Every game it's not gonna be every player's night every single night. But he played 16 minutes, gave us 5 points. All right, let me check in with the chat, and then I will talk a little bit. Let me just do Boston real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Tatum, 35 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Tatum is just that dude. Like he struggled in the second, third quarter, came alive in the fourth quarter. He's just that dude. Jaylen Brown, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Only shot 36.4% from the field and missed 2 clutch free throws, right? I read his comments after the game. He was a bit down on himself, but they can work that out over there. They've lost 3 straight. The Knicks got that game. White, who was in for Marcus Smart, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 4 3-pointers. The Knicks did not defend the 3-point line well last night, and Boston shot extremely well. Brogdon, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 threes. This is what you have coming off your bench as your backup point guard. The Knicks shot 45.8% from the field, 34.2% from the 3-point line, 82.6% from the free throw line. Thank goodness. The Knicks shot over 80% from the free throw line. Boston only shot 41% from the field, 34.8% from the three-point line. And they also shot 82.6% from the free throw line. All right. Let's check in with the chat. 96 till. RJ played good defense on Jaylen Brown in the second half. The first half defense was horrible. Okay, Kerry Cox. McBride has that hunger. I like him. I do too. If he could just get that shot to fall. Nev, the disruptor. Appreciate you, Nev. Most of our improvements will come internally. I hope not. I hope the Knicks make some changes. I think the internal improvements will come over time, over seasons. But I do think the Knicks can stand for an upgrade now if they can get one. Like, I'm not for giving up assets for like a one-year player just to help us this year. Grimes is going to be good, but this was forced. Yeah. But you know what it is? Canal Band Lawyer, he's our best option at the 2 guard right now, right? Cam is not playing. Like, you can argue moving RJ to 2 and starting Cam, but Cam is just not in the picture right now. They're looking to move him. He's not going to play. I don't think he's played since December 10th or something like that. He's our best option right now, but I think that he would really, really, really fortify our bench. But for right now, this is where we are. Deron Wayne-Sims had a good game. Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, I think fit matters more than anything. Grimes fits next to Brunson. No, I agree with you. This is what we have to do right now. No doubt about it. Keith Turner thinks Grimes is an average player. I don't know about good. I mean, I think for a second-year player, all right, average, good. I'm not gonna nitpick with that. I just think that the Knicks could stand to have a more reliable shooter in the starting lineup. Kerry Cox. Grimes is a better version of Courtney Lee. JJ, I'd leave Grimes in the starting lineup and find a long two-way small forward. SF. Listen, RJ Barrett is not coming out of the starting lineup. It's just not happening. I would be shocked if RJ Barrett comes out of the starting lineup, right? And I think, Grimes, to my point, he's just not a consistent shooter right now, which is to be expected. Sharice Duncan missed too many wide open threes. I don't know if that's Grimes or just the team overall. Paris Doug, appreciate you. Grimes is going to be as good as any other player you obtain. How do we know that? Grimes' defense and rebounds and ball movement is work history. I disagree. Now, it depends on who we're talking about. But let's just say the Knicks had an opportunity to get their hands on a Gary Trent Jr. I'm not going to say that Grimes right now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, he might even be better than Gary Trent Jr. I don't know what Grimes' ceiling is. But right now, if we were able to get our hands on Gary Trent Jr., he's a more reliable shooter than Grimes right now, right? And he's a good defensive player as well. And the other thing about Grimes and his defense, it varies from game to game. One of the things about us as Knicks fans, once we get hold of a narrative, we just hold on to it. Mitch has all these intangibles, but there are games, and he does, but there are games where Mitch has bad games despite that. Same thing with Grimes. He is an above average defender, but there are games where he does not defend well. So listen, I'm not talking about not playing Grimes. I'm just saying I'm not quite sure he's ready for prime time just yet. And I think if Quickly was 6'5", Quickly would be in that starting lineup. Keith Turner, we need a small forward and shooting guard. We got to replace RJ and Grimes. I don't care what anybody says. Shaw Legacy, yeah, I don't know about upgrading RJ Barrett unless he's in a package for a star. Shaw Legacy, RJ helped us in overtime, and I salute him for waking up. But moving forward, he's still not the answer. He's more of a question mark. Kerry Cox, Grimes will kill in the second unit. Yeah. 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 Jerrell, shout out, resident panelist, Dope Soul Sports Talk. For we're going on tonight. The Knicks played Thursday, so obviously we couldn't do the Just Nicking It show, but we'll be doing it tonight at 9 p.m. Can't wait to chop it up with you, Jerrell. Yes, we can use an upgrade at shooting guard. Grimes can still develop coming off the bench right now. There's nothing wrong with that. Kerry Cox, Grimes, I think he is playing well. I just don't think his shooting is very consistent, but I don't expect that right now. So I don't expect his shooting to be consistent. This is what happens with second year players. JJ Grimes, my God, he's got to knock down those clutch open threes last night. Yeah. Building blocks, IQ only scored 2 points in the second half, but he was dynamite offensively in the first half. Yeah. Yeah. The issue Tibbs has is you got, you would think that you're going to start your center, whether that's iHeart or Sims. You're gonna have Randle in the game, not start. You're gonna have one of those centers in the game. You're gonna have Randle in the game. You're gonna have Brunson in the game, right? So at the 2 and 3, those wing positions, you got RJ Barrett, IQ, and Grimes, and you got to pick 2 of those 3, right? Now, kudos again to Tibbs. There was times in the game where he just took RJ out and just rocked with IQ and Grimes, which I like defensively, but you're giving up a lot of inches with those 2 guys. And you're giving up inches at point guard as it is. So when you go with that 3 guard lineup, you're giving up size. You're giving up size. Even though you have the shooting, you got the flexibility. I mean, I like what they can do offensively. Grimes and IQ are good defensively. IQ is stout defensively, but he's a lean. I don't know. I think it's just kind of tough with those 3 guys. My son asked when RJ put up that layup, Daddy, what? I couldn't do nothing but laugh. Yeah, I think it might have just slipped out of his hands. Yeah, yeah, he wasn't great, but I like the fact that he stuck with it. He stuck with it, didn't lose confidence in himself, and was able to hit that big shot. Fly guard the third, aka C Mac. RJ got something Brunson and Randle don't have, and that is the clutch factor. I think Brunson has that. I mean, he's top. I don't know if things have changed, but maybe a week or 2 ago, he was top 5 in clutch shots in the entire NBA. Most field goals, right? In the clutch, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not going to disagree with you. RJ does hit big shots, but he's hitting them off the catch. He's definitely not somebody that you're going to put the ball in clutch moments and say, go get me a basket. That's not his game at all. But he stays confident. He stays ready. And when the ball is swung to him in those clutch situations, he knocks them down. So I can't disagree with that. And Randle, I think, has been more clutch in these last 2 games, but historically, I would agree with you. He hasn't been. Paris Doug, I appreciate the super chat. I sure hope this base just lets this roster grow. This team is close and is slowly growing into a monster. The improvements are going to come from within. We shall see, Paris Duggar. We shall see. Knick fans, we have to improve our bench. Sounds crazy. But if we do, Dwight Howard on several 10-day contracts, trade for DeRozan and Caruso. And I said this about DeRozan, I just think he commands the ball a lot. And so that means one of them high contract players are not going to be at their best. They're going to have to sacrifice their game. One of them. I'm good with Caruso, and I'm good with Dwight Howard as well. I like Sims, but Sims just doesn't have the experience. He had 14 rebounds last night, but over the past, since he's been in for Mitch, you could see he doesn't have the experience, and that he's another one that just needs to come off the bench right now. He needs to come off the bench right now. But this is who we have. So you're just rocking with the best players you have. All right. We went over the game stats. Let's talk a little bit about the team stats. 17 assists Boston had 22. I mean, both of these teams kind of mirror each other in that their best players pretty much start their offense, and whatever the other players are going to get, they're going to get it off of those players. So off of Randle, off of Brunson, off of Tatum, off of Brown. I'm not too hung up on the assists like a lot of fans are. I've seen the Knicks win and lose low assist games. I've seen the Knicks win or lose high assist games. Every game brings a different challenge, and the Knicks just have to figure it out. Offense is not the problem for the Knicks. We're going to score enough points to win. What are we going to do defensively? That's the issue. Points in the paint +6, for the Knicks. I think a lot of that was Randle just playing. I can't even say enough about him. Just playing lights out. Second chance points, 8 for New York, 21 from Boston. They was all over the boards. Like there was one possession where I thought they got like 5 offensive rebounds on one possession. They were just all over the boards last night. Fast break points, 17-17. Bench points, 28 to their 31. And I think quickly had 17 of our 28. But I think our bench played well in areas that did not show up in the stat sheet. So 28 to 31. As far as that's concerned, let me check in with the bench. With the bench, with the chat. Jeff Clark, stats nearly identical. I mean, listen, even if the Knicks had lost this game in overtime or even in regulation by like 1 or 2 points, would you have still been impressed with them? I would have been. I thought the Knicks played very well last night. It's me. Appreciate you. Brunson should trust IQ a bit more with the playmaking when they share the floor. Really? I don't know. I just want. I think Quickly is playing very well, but I still, between the two, I'd like to see the ball in Brunson's hand more. Shotgun and Randle just needed a pass first guard to be an all-star again. Well, Brunson is not a pass first. I think he's a shoot first, and that opens up the passing lanes for him. And that's how most of that's how most of the guards play today. Nev the disruptor. Gary Trent is a good player, but if I were management, I would not disrupt my team for a small upgrade. Well, listen, Gary Trent Jr. is not a small upgrade. Number one. And number two, where is this team? Like, do you think this is an Eastern Conference Finals team this season? Do you think this is a second round team? Like, for me, if you can upgrade the team, I agree with you, Nev the Disruptor. If what you're trying to say is the Knicks are going to take a hit in chemistry in the short run, but if it makes the team better in the long run, and that includes next season, I'm doing it. Like, it's not like, the chemistry is so great. This is an Eastern Conference Finals team, and we shouldn't disrupt that. We're nowhere near that. We're playing well. But if you're looking at the long game, we got to get some more talent in here. And if that disrupts the chemistry in the short term, I'm willing to do that. I know a lot of Knicks fans aren't. This is the same thing that happened in 2 years ago when we went to playoffs. A lot of our success was our defense and our chemistry. Don't make any changes. You don't want to upset our chemistry. And then what happened in the playoffs? You got to upgrade the roster, in my opinion. All right. First quarter, New York's 3-point defense was horrible. I think Boston was 5 or 6, from the field in that first quarter. We led by as many as 13 points in the fourth quarter. And listen, we can talk about the missed shots by Grimes. We could talk about the turnovers, by Randle, Brunson dribbling out the clock. We could talk about, Randle throwing it at the pass at the last second, and we're getting a shot clock violation, missed shot. We could talk about all of that. But Boston is a really good team. I believe they're top 5 in defense. They ratcheted up their defense when they were down double digits, whatever it was. and the Knicks couldn't even breathe. They couldn't breathe. And on offense, because the Knicks defense is not as good as Boston, they were able to hit three-point shooters. So I get it. The Knicks did miss shot. They did turn the ball over, but Boston had a lot to do with it. And that's what happens when you play good teams. They have another level, right? And Boston, we saw that in the last 5 minutes of overtime. I said, and I put it in my notes, and let me watch the Knicks. Let me see if they're going to be able to close this out against Boston. And they fought and they played valiant. They just made some key mistakes, and Boston had a lot to do with that. And then we went into overtime, and then kudos again to Sims for the block. Because had that shot went up, I don't think it was a great shot. Anything could have happened. And in overtime again, we talked about it. Randle with big play, and maybe the fact that he only played 2 minutes in that second quarter had him fresh. We don't always have that luxury, but last night we did. I thought the bench played well when he was on the bench. The Knicks was right there. The game was still close. Let Randle sit, and I thought he was fresh in the fourth quarter, and I thought he was fresh, in overtime, and played big for us. We've talked about Randle being a number 3 on a championship team. Watching him, 2 years ago, last year, this year, has any of that changed for you? Does anybody think he's a number 2 right now? Does anybody think he might be possibly a number 1? We're going to talk about that tonight on the Just Nicking show. So, amongst other things. So be sure to check that out. And we talked about this. Brown missed both free throws. Barrett was fouled with 5 seconds left and hit both of the free throws. This is what I want to remind us of, and I have to remind myself of. The Knicks are a very young team. They're a very young team age-wise, right? I'm not sure where they ranked amongst the 30 teams, but age-wise, the Knicks are a very young team. And if you take Rose off, they're even younger, right? And if you're talking about just the rotation players, they are extremely young, but they're also young in terms of playing together, right? Brunson is on the team now. What has it been, like 50 games, or so? So they're young in terms of playing together. The bench has been reworked a few times throughout the season, right? So when you have a young team and when you have a team that hasn't played together a lot, you're going to get these inconsistencies. And that's what we're seeing. Inconsistencies from quarter to quarter, inconsistencies from game to game. They are able to play well and go on a little run, a little winning streak. Then they hit a bump in the road. Now they're on a losing streak. They are a young team, right? That is rounding into shape, in my opinion. And these wins against Cleveland, wins against Boston, it's just letting us know what can be. I think the Knicks are close. But this particular roster, as presently constructed, it's not going to go that far. Number one, in the playoffs, we just don't have the experience. Guys who, and by that meaning not that you went to the playoffs one time. Like there are players on the Knicks, 2 years ago, they were on that team. They went to the playoffs one time. But what I mean is players who have proven that they can perform in the playoffs. We don't have a lot of those on the team. Brunson, Rose, who's out of the rotation. We'll see. I truly believe the Knicks are making the playoffs. And so we'll see. They'll have an opportunity to grow. But I don't see the Knicks going far this particular year because of their age and because they just don't have a lot of proven players, proven playoff players on this team. Young teams usually don't do well in the playoffs. And the Knicks are young in multiple ways, right? We shall see. We shall see. Check in with the chat. Keith Turner said too many sensitive people in the chat. Quiet Money, doesn't matter what you think Randle is. He's a number 1 on this team. Not debatable. Some people would think, well, yeah. We're still in the 7th spot. Can't argue with that. It's me meditating. Randle dread is definitely a thing right now. Jeff Clafter, a big time star, or 2 really good players away. Okay. Keith Turner. So we're not supposed to talk about upgrading the roster after a win, only talk about it when we. No, I'm with you. I mean, I just said it. James Glass always thought Randle could be a number 2. His mentality last season was my only issue. The talent is there. The talent is there, right? And if he can consistently access that talent, we're talking about a different Randle. JJ, maybe a number 2, depending on how much of a superstar the number 1 is. Very nuancey and good point. I think we're going to trade for Reggie Bullock. I'm not mad at that, but Reggie Bullock is also another one that's streaky in terms of his shooting. And I'm not even talking about what he's shooting this year, but what I'm seeing with Grimes was the same thing I saw with Reggie Bullock. Wide open shots at key moments in the game, an opportunity to hit a timely shot, and he would miss. We shall see. It's me. I want to hear from the pessimist. Were the last 2 games enough for y'all? Deron Wayne, dead ball turnovers are not as bad as a transitional turnover. Okay. Josh, oh no, Queen, I'll be on with you tonight. We got some things to discuss, debate. Okay. As long as we on topic, it's cool. Quiet Monday, money. Randle definitely mangled Tatum with that poster. Steph, no, and Gary is not going to get you any closer to. Listen. Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Knicks are not a championship contending team right now. Right? They got some really good pieces, but they have to add to it so that over time, you continually shape your team into a championship contender, right? Step by step, piece by piece. You're not going to sit here and tell me that Gary Trent doesn't upgrade this team and get you a little bit closer. Remember, step by step, piece by piece. He does. He does. He's a better player than Grimes right now. 5 years from now, will he be? Who knows? But right now he is. And that's no knock on Grimes. He's been in the league. Gary Trent Jr. has been in the league, 3, 4, 5 years? Grimes has just been in the league 2. So he should have that. He has the edge, and he should. He upgrades our starting lineup. All right. Just some friendly debate to disrupt the Knicks are in 7th place, just a half game behind Miami. I think we meet Miami in another week. And a game and a half ahead of Atlanta. Philadelphia has won 6. Boston has lost 3. Nets have lost 2. We play them Saturday. We'll get into that. Washington has won 4. So that's what I'm saying. 6 through 12 throughout the season. Until somebody separates themselves significantly, there's going to be a lot of turnover 6 through 12. Now, Cleveland is just 2.5. Cleveland and Brooklyn are just 2.5 games ahead of Miami. I just think that unless Brooklyn and Cleveland sustain some type of injuries, I just don't see them falling out of the top 5. But anything is liable to happen. All right, next game at Brooklyn this Saturday. We're 27 and 23, 7th in the Eastern Conference. Over our last 10, we've won 5 of 5, and we've won our last 2. Brooklyn is 10 games over 500, 29 and 19. They're 4th in the Eastern Conference right now. They're without KD, right, who's been injured, who's missed some time. Over the last 10, they've won 4, lost 6. They've lost their last 2 games. They lost to Detroit last night. But trust and believe, they are going to be up for the Knicks. We played them once earlier in the season and lost to them pretty badly, I think. I anticipate the same starters for us. For them, the last game they started Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, and Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton looks... Did you see him play against Philly? I mean, he's better offensively. He is really better offensively. So I can see, and I don't think iHeart is going to be able to do anything with him. Sims is liable to get into foul trouble. I'm not saying he's all world, but I'm just saying he's mobile and he has some offensive moves and he could put the ball on the floor. I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and they're going to him more, right? The ball is spreading around more, going to him more with KD out, right? There's just more shots available. Tonight, the Just Nicking It show, 9 p.m. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification button so you'll be notified when we go live. Me, Tsunami, if she can make it, Jerrell, Stafford Don, both of who are in the chat, and anybody else. We're going to try to limit the panel to 6, but whoever else wants to hop on. And anybody in the chat, if you ever want to come on the show, I'm on Twitter, DM me, or here's the, do I have my email here? I don't have my email here. Okay, I'm going to add that, but it's bksteph33@gmail.com. It is in the description, and you can come on. All right, we do my last round and we out of here. Shout out to Jeff Clafter. It's me, Keith Turner, Sherwin. Appreciate you, Sherman. We are not going anywhere because Brunson and RJ refuse to share the ball. They are self-checked. Guard them to only shoot. If they were willing passers, their offense would be so much better. I think Brunson is a willing passer, you know, but you got to understand, when you have guys who are super confident in themselves, that shot that we're looking at that we think is a complicated shot, for them, they've made that shot hundreds and thousands of times, you know? So I don't really see Brunson as being selfish, but you're going to have to cut him off, right? You're going to have to cut him off. Otherwise, he feels like he can make the basket. Shout out to Kerry Cox. I may say some names twice. Keith Turner, Jeff Clafton, Quiet Money. Appreciate you. Shotgunner, Soul Finger. 12. West Coast, appreciate you. Shaw Legacy, Jeff Clafter, Rebuild, NYK. Pudge Nice, I appreciate you. King Cypress, Cherise Duncan, Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio. Let's see. Parish Doug, I appreciate you. JJ, appreciate you. Missed you last show. It's me, Drugs Only. Jerrell, of course. Sean Kearns, Geraldine MacGyver. Always a pleasure. Anthony Grant. Angel Torres. Sean Kearns. Anybody that, JJ, we didn't get to that. We'll talk about this tonight. Begley said we offered 3 first-round picks for OG in December. And I think somebody else mentioned that they believe it was the 3 protected picks. We'll talk about that tonight. Right now, I want to play a song by Jay Boogie about Randle. And then I will see you guys the next time.
Let's go to Rebecca.
Thanks, Mike. Julius, sole possession over 4th place in the Eastern Conference. How does that sound?
New York, we here.
New York, we here. New York, we here. New York, we here.
Wanna talk about this baller? What he been doing since he came to the city? How much he don't change his big up to NYC? Let's go. It's for the Knicks. Stand up.
When the game's on the line, big shots from Julius Randle. I'm 6'8", all clutch plus the handle. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle. That left hand on the wing, I go hard. I'm in the paint all game, I go hard. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle. Broke my leg the first year, said your boy I wouldn't come back. That Calipari, Kentucky, know I'm a wildcat. A big lion, haters betting on until I got fans this year to say I'm an NBA league killer. A lot of haters went off, but now they back on the wagon. I'm on the wing, that left pivot, keep jabbing. That crossover, step back like I'm two-stepping. That same footwork Kobe sent from heaven. A lot of topic debates, who ain't better than? I see P, you on Tuesday like Kelly. element. Then skip over your top, over your episode. Then unretire Bernard's jersey with some cornrows. Right now we got the city on smash. I'm talking Tom, I ain't talking Steve Nash. The playoffs and we about to get busy. And Fat Joe gave me the keys to the city. When the game's on the line, big shots from Julius Randle. I'm 6'8", all clutch plus the handle. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle. That left hand on the wing, I go hard. I'm in the paint all game, I go hard. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle. That first time All-Star, player of the month, player of the week. We in the city and we don't sleep. And now we back in the P's. Nick fan of your TV. The documentary by the Chuck D. Strap 15 to the franchise. I look up and see the orange and the blue skies. Then look down, Spike, back sitting courtside. That's how we living in the city, let's ride. I know they praying us down, but we up falling. We fly high like Jimmy and we keep balling. That off balance swishes and it keep falling. Them N1s refs gotta keep calling. CT got the streets buzzing. We on cap and we ain't ducking. No wreck and J Boogie's the ball sprayer. And this year we got the most improved player. When the game's on the line, big shots from Julius Randle. I'm 6'8", all clutch plus the handle. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle. That left hand on the wing, I go hard. I'm in the paint all game, I go hard. Lights out, blow the nets like candles. Ain't nobody in the league messing with Julius Randle.